Hello, hello, hello. I am Jack, and I know best. And I am here to prove it each and every Monday by putting on a best ball clinic on Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code NONSENSE when you sign up on Underdog for a free $25, which you can use to face off against me and my guests tonight. Now, Jack may know best, and I've proved it many times now, and that I know better than Important Nonsense's very own Steve Bonham, but it's a scientific fact that Bo knows. And we've got Bo McBrayer at Bo_McBigtime here to see if Bo knows better or Jack knows best. Bo, thank you for joining me. It is such an honor to be joined by the host of Chalk Block, the king of spicy, the big-time flavor himself, Bo McBrayer. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's my pleasure. You guys are a couple fun-loving guys who love best ball just as much as I do. I mean, the off-season wouldn't be the same without Underdog Drafts, to be honest. And I'm really glad I'm not using my joint checking account to share and divulge the amounts of exposure that I have on the app, the Underdog.
You just have to wipe that section.
Oh.
Yeah. Just have to white out the section of with the dollar
redacted.
Yeah.
Next
exactly.
question.
Great decision though, and it is my honor to be joined by you. But it will also be an honor to beat you here tonight because I've got a reputation that I've got to maintain here. Jack's got to prove that Jack knows best. Isn't that right, Steve?
I don't know about that. I mean, you definitely have a reputation to maintain, but I don't know if it's the reputation you think you're maintaining.
I don't know if it's a good reputation either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. When people like at work, people always say, "Hey, Bo knows," blah blah blah. You know, it comes with the name,
right?
But my reply is usually sometimes. And so, yeah, there are categories where I definitely do know. And then there's other things where it's like, I'm just going to keep going and focus on what I do know. I like to stay in my lane, but I'm pretty good in my lane. So let's see what you got.
And that is very true. You are fantastic in your lane. Writing and contributing to multiple sites. Just any pluggables to plug before we get going here? There's too many for me to try and remember.
Yeah, let me run them off here. I write DFS for NimbleWNumbers, NimbleWNumbers.com/Bo. That's where you can find all my DFS work from last season.
Shout out to Scott.
Yep. Scott Simpson, Scotty Stacks. Also be contributing DFS content for BallBlast this season. So I'm really excited for that. And I'm also writing Dynasty and Devi for a couple different places. So got Run Boys, shout out Robbie. I got the Going for Two. Shout out Jeff Lambert and the crew. Just a whole bunch of love. Dynasty Vipers. Shout out Dingus, Matt Donnelly. I mean, I just write because it's how I bring joy to my life is through writing and expressing myself, and it's my outlet. And if a place wants to publish it and put it on their website, it's humbling to me. I really love doing it.
And we love reading your work as well. You've been putting out some fantastic stuff all off season. We're excited to keep following along with you. And so, probably time to join the.
Love the merch as well. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, if you haven't noticed already, behind Steve's head, just that logo is just chef's kiss. C'est magnifique.
Sure, it's a Saturday I'll never get back, but it was totally worth it.
That's a Master June 70, Mark Mathick from the Undroppables. He's one of the best graphic designers that I know. He's been designing all my logos for my products and for different things. So I shout out to Master June 70, the FF devil himself. He's got some crazy talent. I just gave him a general idea, and he came up with that within, I'd say, a couple hours of me giving him the general outline of what I was looking for.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I love the logo. And so far, I've loved everything from the box. So if you haven't had it before, HotBoxBatch, fantastic. Make sure you get yourself
BigTimeFlavor.co. That's my main plug.
That's right.
It's like all the fun stuff that I write doesn't have anything to do with my food business. BigTimeFlavor.co. Right there.
That's the good stuff.
It is the good stuff. I was looking at the website earlier today, and I had to log off because I was drooling a little bit too much.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got one that's available now. So, Bo, we're going to jump in the public $5 12 person on Underdog Fantasy, and anybody that wants to join us. So, Jack, if we have any new viewers today, can you let them know what we're going to be doing here?
Oh, I can absolutely let them know. We'll be joining the $5 12-team best ball on Underdog.com here. And once that loads, once we have enough members, we will be spinning the Wheel of Wow to determine how things shake out. So
Patent
pending, yeah, name pending. We're still taking applications for the renaming of the Wheel
Any
of Wow.
suggestions, really?
You should have it sponsored by somebody who's going to give you free merch. Yeah,
exactly.
Is this going to be the puppy, or is this one you can send me an invite to?
It's just the public $5 12 person.
NFL.
Yeah, so when you go to drafts, NFL, the best ball 12 person $5 entry.
Got it.
Waiting for 8 people currently. Will be 7 once you get in here.
Yep, I'm working on it right now.
And so at the beginning of each round, we will be spinning the Wheel of Wow, and whatever the wheel lands on, that's what we'll be drafting. And so in this hypothetical, we would be drafting wide receiver, and then we would hide wide receiver and be unable to draft that pick would be gone. 18 rounds, 18 positions, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are playing along at home, please use the wheel. Because otherwise we're in for some trouble here, especially when quarterback comes up round 1.
Yeah, it gets interesting when we have a bunch of people doing it, because then it kind of throws off the entire draft. So the random people that are in the public group are like, "What? I got Christian McCaffrey at 1-8. What the hell happened?"
Well, what I find is that I've been drafting with the same general group of guys and gals all off season, so they have a really good idea of my strategy. So lately I've been mixing it up. So I think that prepared me well for the Wheel of Wow. I'm in officially now, guys.
All right,
absolutely
fantastic.
Wonderful. And so we are still waiting on 7 more people, so you can join us here.
And then you can go through it too, Jack, what is all on there. It's a set amount of a certain number at each position, but there's also flex options that will give you an opportunity to mold the team however you want.
Exactly. And so you have to draft 2 quarterbacks, obviously, because if you don't draft 2 quarterbacks in a best ball league, you are not going to win. I'm sorry. You're punting.
Yeah.
Well, you're punting a position that if you get a 0 on, it's like losing 25 points right off the bat.
Right.
That's really bad. That's really bad for business.
Yeah. So we've got 2 mandatory quarterbacks, but a super flex as well. So you can draft a 3rd quarterback if you want. You can use that on a tight end, running back, receiver, however you want to build out your roster. And we have the same thing kind of on the back end as well. We've got 2 mandatory tight ends. You can draft them with the super flex. You can draft them with the flex. So,
or you can make a mistake like I did and draft him with the flex in the first round last week. That was a mistake.
Travis Kelce, yeah.
That went bad. That went bad.
Running back.
It was a calculated risk, and it did not pay off.
RB2 Rashad Penny or something like that.
Yeah, it was real bad. Real ugly at running back because I passed on a running back in the first.
Ooh, that's dangerous territory.
Yeah, I got greedy.
The good thing was, though, I still won. So that was nice. Still ended up as a nice day for me. Is that the good thing? Yeah, pretty good thing for me. I had fun. And isn't that what matters? Fun.
Yes. But only in the leagues when I'm not against you.
Yeah, Scott Fishbowl division, the Red Hot Chili Peppers division is just a bloodbath of sharks
Yeah.
I think we only have 3 technically called fans,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty sure that all 3 of those fans are pretty well versed on the
Exactly.
scoring system. They have the strategy down from the jump. So yeah, it's going to be an all-out war in Red Hot Chili Peppers to try to get extra points and wins. Because I mean, there wasn't anybody I saw draft that I was like, well, they really don't have a clue what they're doing. They all do.
Yeah.
Even Steve.
Wow. Wow.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm a big fan of your draft. I just had to pull that.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Steve wanted to pick my brain a little bit more after a couple of my picks drew the ire of the group chat because I was, of course, Sam Wagman. He was griping about all my picks because apparently I had the same queue and I just reached a little bit farther to get the guys that we both wanted, which was my strategy anyway. I'm usually that kind of drafter, which it only hurts me if you guys are awesome enough to follow me close enough to know who my guys are. But I'm a get your guy drafter. I'll just go ahead and get my guys wherever I feel like I want to get them and not miss out on them. And so poor Sam, he was sitting at the 12 spot and I was sitting on the 3 spot. So every time I made a turn around, I grabbed a couple guys right straight from the top of his queue. And I think he lives on the East Coast, but I could hear him groaning from California.
It was pretty loud. Yeah, I was number 2, so we were picking back to back, and I knew you were going to snipe me a whole bunch, so I was just anticipating that going in. Like the one that hurt me the most was Najee Harris. That one hurt me deep down.
I was shocked at seeing him there. That was beautiful.
But I got your guy Antonio Gibson right after that. So
yeah, and that one forced me to pivot.
It's a good consolation, if you want to call it.
I thought for sure I was going to get Najee and Gibson on that turn, and when you took Gibson right after, I was like, oh. But I mean, CEH was my next pick, so yeah, I'm not too unhappy about it.
That was my biggest thing. I have Gibson, Mixon, and Swift like all right next to each other in my projections and rankings. And I was debating which one to go with, Swift or Mixon. And I went with Swift, just looking at, upside and points, not even realizing that Gibson and Swift both have the same bye week. So I inadvertently bye week stacked on my running backs, which I think is my biggest weakness on the team. But other than that, I feel pretty good about it.
But in that format with so many starting spots and so many bench spots, I think you can get away with it pretty well.
Right.
You can always plug somebody in on a bye week as long as you have enough depth at the positions. I don't think a bye week's going to cause any trouble. Like in best ball, you definitely want to pay attention to bye weeks, but with the season long setup with no trading, you pretty much got what you got, and then there's going to be some waiver activity kind of early on. But last year it really fizzled out. Like the second half of the season, waivers were just a desolate wasteland.
Yeah,
and so it was something where if you draft well and you get lucky with injuries, like I wasn't last year, then you can go pretty far.
Especially if you can pick up that. Like last year, it was really only James Robinson early on, and then J.D. McKissick a little bit later on. Otherwise, it was, especially at running back, it was bad.
I was pretty much done because my 2 quarterbacks that I drafted early were Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow. I was done.
Yeah,
that's a dagger, especially like in a perfect world where they stay healthy. That's beautiful.
The first 5 weeks I was at the very top of the leaderboard in points scored. And I think I started 2-2, but I was on the first page of the points leaderboard because the other guys, just the 2 people that beat me, had scored like 270 one week. But I was scoring 230, 240, 250 the first 4 or 5 weeks, and I was like, this is awesome. And then snap, crackle, pop, I'm completely done. But yeah, those 2 quarterbacks weren't even my only injuries. I think out of my first 8 picks, 7 of them missed at least 5 games.
Oof.
And that was I had Mixon, I had Mostert, I had if you name a guy that went down early and missed a lot of time, I had him.
Yeah, the only guy I had that missed a bunch of time was Kittle. I had George Kittle early on in that, and that hurt me a little bit.
Especially because we did last year, it was the double tight end early, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went in rounds 2 and 3. I went Kittle, Mark Andrews back to back.
Oof.
and I completely punted on quarterback. So I ended up with Gardner Minshew as my starting quarterback, which was great the first 8 weeks. It was fantastic. He's getting 20 points a game, even in Fishbowl. But then they benched him, so I was getting 0. And then my backup was Daniel Jones, which didn't pan out at all.
Oh.
But that's what happens when you punt quarterback. And I did not do that this year. I went the complete opposite and doubled down early on quarterback. So
yeah, I feel like I got way more value in my draft this year compared to last year.
Yeah.
Learn from your lessons too. And so are you back in on those guys that got injured last year, Bo, or are you completely out?
I'm definitely all in on Dak. In
decision.
redraft, I have redraft 4-point passing touchdown. I have Dak as quarterback 1 in redraft. In this format, with it being 6 points per passing touchdown, Mahomes goes right back to the top there. And I was lucky enough to get him at 103. Dak would have been my alternate pick there at 103 if Mahomes wasn't going to fall to me.
And he was available there because Steve took Kyler over Dak, correct?
Which surprised me at first, but that's pretty, more popular pick than I thought.
Well, my number 1 was Kyler, and my number 2 was also Dak. So we're on the same page right there. So
yeah, I think it's really important to get a guy who's either mobile or accurate. Yeah. And Kyler being both is a pretty big advantage, especially with Kyler in that fast-paced offense where it's just sheer volume and number of plays. I totally get it. Kyler's up there for me too. I think he's probably 3 or 4 on my board for that format. So
yeah.
At first I was like, holy crap, he went Kyler as number 1. And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm 3. I get to pick whoever I want.
Yeah.
Kelsey went 1 to Jen Piacenti.
Yeah.
Ooh, that choice between Christian McCaffrey and Patrick Mahomes at the 103, that probably didn't happen a whole lot.
No, and I wasn't thinking running back at that spot.
Right.
I was pretty much locked into a quarterback, and I had a really strong feeling that I would at least get Dak. And I was pretty surprised to see Mahomes sitting there. So I was like, oh, this is a really good problem to have.
Yeah, we're in the spot we were at there at the front end. That's what I was saying was like, I feel like I could have gotten Kyler at like 6 or 7. So I wish I was in a scenario where I was more like in the middle. But I'm all right with it. I think it worked out okay.
I did a lot of research on Scott Fishbowl draft before I even preferred a spot. And I basically broke it all down, did a couple like full length drafts, like the first 10 rounds from each spot, and mapped out which guys were going to go where. And so even though it's not predictive, it's a little bit better than a mock with other people, because I'm like, okay, I don't know where I'm going to going into it. I'm blind to which is going to come out with the most appealing, like first 10 picks. And at the end of the day, it was between 3, 4, and 12 for me. And a lot of people are drafting from the 12 slot because of third round reversal. But I felt like their first 3 picks in the top 25 are really good. And then waiting at that 3-4 turn is really, really, you're missing so much value in that block that I wanted to be patient at the 2-3 turn and drop the hammer at the 3-4 when I finally got my chance. And that's when I got the 2, I got the running back or the 2 running backs at that 3-4 turn, because I went Pitts at 210.
Yep. Did you pick the number 3 spot, or that was your preference? Okay.
Yep. When I broke it down, that was the team I liked the most when I mocked it myself.
Yeah, the only preference I put in was the Chili Peppers. That was it. I was good with any spot as long as I got the Chili Peppers division. So
I think that's a pretty fair decision as well.
We were destined to be together then, because
that's right.
Chili Peppers was my top preference because, come on, King of Spice ain't gonna not be in the Chili Peppers. I'm born and raised in California. Chili Peppers has been part of my life forever.
Mm-hmm.
It would be blasphemy to not be in that division. It would be
right. And I think Scott should do that too, because he and I go back to last year and got to know each other pretty well, like based on just tweeting back and forth at each other. But yeah, my second choice was Johnny Cash, and that division filled up super fast. So I was happy to be put in my first choice.
Well, it's like you said too. Like, it's great that we got to meet all these interesting people in the Chili Peppers division, but it's also unfortunate because there's a lot of great people that are like-minded that you feel like you really didn't get a ton of value anywhere because everybody knew what they were doing.
I was pretty jealous of some of the other guys that were in some divisions with a lot more fans, or maybe just somebody who that they weren't drafting with people that know them. Like I've been doing best ball drafts with 3 of the guys in our division.
Right.
So I'm like
why couldn't I be in the division with the guy that was taking Cole Beasley in the 4th round? Come on.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Where was that?
We're getting the guys that I went to make sure I got before like the 10th or 11th round. In other divisions, they're going to the 15th, 16th round. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just heartbreaking. But at least I got good value across the board, I think. I went with an all upside draft, and I sprinkled in those 3 kickers for just in case of emergency.
All right, let's see. What do we got? We finally filled up
the 101.
I got the 101. So you're going to really have to be on the wheel today.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, they stuck me right in the middle. You guys are.
And so
you're in the middle, and Jack's on the 111. Come on, running back.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Oh, boy. Well,
that's unfortunate.
That could not have gone worse. For our first.
I'm going to draft the same team I drafted last week. This is going to be ridiculous. And the guy at 1-2, you are welcome. You are absolutely welcome for Christian McCaffrey for no
sitting
reason.
At 1-6, I'm actually pretty happy about that too.
Oh, and I'm at the 111.
You're going to push me into something really appetizing, I think.
And I'm going to have to take the tight end 4 because Mike Manning is here. And so, oh, boy.
All right, I'm going to have to take Kelsey.
Yep.
Is rough.
There was no other option.
We have both ends and the middle covered, so there you go.
And now, the big decision for Bo. George Kittle or Darren Waller?
What are you a fan of?
Well, you guys probably know this, but I'm the biggest Kyle Pitts stan there is.
Are you going to go Kyle Pitts at 1-6? That would be amazing. I would love to see
if I was going for solidarity, I would, but my tight end 2 in redraft is actually Darren Waller, so that's fair. Go. But yeah, Pitts. I mean, my 2. If I was on end, the 2-3 turn is always Pitts for me, but for this, I'm happy to get Waller.
I think that's what's going to happen to Jack here is
he's going to have to choose.
So at 1-9, Mike Manning is part of our staff, so I guarantee you he's playing along.
Oh, this is good.
So I'll bet you he's going to go Kittle.
And I got to make the decision.
And then that'll leave the decision on Jack if he's going to go Pitts.
How much do you like TJ Hawkinson over there?
I am a big TJ Hawkinson fan.
If you can't tell from the Lamar jersey in the background, he's also a big Ravens fan. So Mark Andrews isn't out of the realm of possibility here.
No, he is. He is firmly behind Hawkinson and Pitts. That's the decision I have to make.
Well, and once Jay Cutler retired, he became the best type 1 diabetic in the league. So that's always good.
Good point.
Smoking Jay Cutler.
These are the stats that nobody wants to talk about. Who's the best type 1 diabetic in the National Football League?
Well, then you can also extrapolate by other conditions like sickle cell trait, like people that can't play at altitude.
John Brown.
There's
Who's
not many
the best
of those.
colorblind player in the NFL right now? What's your
that
team?
one's a good. Yeah, I think the limitation might be HIPAA laws, but
right. Don't even.
Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, Bo. We have you on and we disrespect you by making you draft tight ends in round 1 and 2. I apologize. But you know what?
You know what? We're going to be set at tight end for the rest of the draft. So the flex gets a lot easier the rest of the way now, I think.
Yeah, that's really optimistic of you, Steve.
And the good news is I'm not wrong for taking
you took Hawkinson and Pitts.
Because I get
you end up with both. So now This is probably Andrew's. Now we'll see what Bo does, and it gives me a really terrible option at the back end.
Oh, yeah, Mark Andrews off the board.
This is awful. I hate all of this.
The people that are that aren't part of this, that
exactly. People have no idea what's going
on here. Okay,
they're not complaining about it though.
No. Hey, welcome to Denver. Welcome to Denver, Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. Get on board.
I'm going to put that in the universe for that pick.
I got to make sure. All right. Yeah, the bye weeks line up. I'm going to go Dallas Goedert when it comes back to me, if you want to go ahead and spin the wheel.
You don't think you're going to get sniped?
Fair point.
On second round, Dallas Goedert?
I suppose.
The only guy that's going to snipe Dallas Goedert is that guy who knocked him out cold in South Dakota.
Okay. So now it's super flex. So you have to decide.
It's like personal choice.
You have to take running back, right?
Gee, I hope so.
Got to look at the best available here, but
all right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm for sure taking Goddard. I'll put that in, and I'm going to take Aaron Jones
over
Antonio Gibson. The Cleati are clapping for you.
I'd have to stretch before this to get flexible enough. Man.
Yeah, the Aaron Jones. Remember, he's the Tyreek Hill of running backs. It's the ultimate best ball running back because you get all of the 50s and none of the 2s. So this is the best place to have Aaron Jones.
Shout out LaFleur, who will not let Aaron Jones cook.
Exactly. I feel really good about getting A.J. Dillon in the Scott Fish Bowl. We'll see if that pans out for me.
Yeah, Kylan Hill.
Yikes.
Kylan. All right, and so we've got Bo coming up at the 3-6 with anyone he wants. His pick of the litter.
That's right.
You've got Antonio Gibson and CEH, two of your guys.
You've got your Memphis running back right there staring you down.
I think Langus is about to hurt me, I think, so. Yep, I knew it.
Oh.
All right, so, yeah, CEH and best ball. Oof. Look, give me a best ball guy. This guy right here. Boom.
Nice. He's going 0 RB. I like it.
I'm gonna have to. It's just when you start 2 tight ends, you kind of have to.
This is what the people came here for. Is what's the strategy when you go 2 tight ends to start a best ball draft?
Yeah, I mean, the only other time this is gonna realistically happen is if I just was in the wrong neighborhood doing this draft and somebody was carjacking me and said, "Hey, the only way I'm gonna let you go without robbing you is if you take 2 tight ends."
Let's start this draft with 2 tight ends right now.
Yeah,
I can't believe I got the 101 and it went tight end on the board.
Is it at least tight end premium? No.
No. And it's only half point PPR. Good luck.
Right. I like that he added the good luck as he's holding you up.
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Hey, at least we got guys pretty much before the gigantic cliff drops off. Yeah. So we weren't punting tight end down to the Dalton Schultzes of the world.
Right.
I'm going to take Chris Carson.
Chris Carson.
Yeah, Chris Carson over J.K. Dobbins because he catches passes and J.K. Dobbins does not.
And Chris Carson doesn't split carries, really. I mean, he's going to get a lot of touches, and Dobbins will not.
Well.
So much for that.
Well, you know what? We are going to be better than anybody else in this draft at quarterback and tight end. We are going to dominate the rest of these teams at 2 positions. It's just the other ones we got to worry about.
Yeah, never mind the really important high-scoring positions that we need to fill more than one of.
No. You don't want those.
This might be my first time drafting Patrick Mahomes this year because he's always gone before I can draft. So, yeah, this is good, right? It's still good.
This is
had
all
a
right.
momentary
No matter
panic.
what Bo does here, I'm gonna have somebody that I want. So this isn't
I had
bad.
a momentary panic there when I looked at this to make sure the 2 tight ends I drafted didn't have the same bye week.
Yeah, I checked that before I took Goddard. I was like, hold
I
on,
did not
wait a
check
minute.
it until
I
just
do
now.
not want a third tight end in this. I better make
No,
sure I lock
no,
in
no.
these bye weeks.
At first, I was like, no, this is not good. And what if that would have been bad.
All right, there goes Lamar.
All right, we're good to go. All right, you guys know who I'm picking.
That's right, going Dak.
MVP and comeback player of the year in the same season. Is that what we're looking at here, Bo?
That's what I predicted, yes.
All right, here
I
we
actually
go.
have placed bets on both of those.
Now, there's a semi-chance I get sniped here because there's been a little bit of a QB run. Maybe somebody panics for no reason in the 4th round. I'm hoping I still get Kyler. Don't make me take Josh Allen. Just let me get my Kyler.
Yeah, you really hate those guys that score 10 rushing touchdowns on top of 40 passing
I
touchdowns.
know, it's terrible. They're the worst.
Yeah, just imagine if 2 QBs go here and you're forced between
I know, right?
Whammy.
Wilson
Hey,
and Herbert.
I love Herbert. Herbert's great. He's gonna put
In the 4th round, though? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not, but
All right,
I mean,
I'm gonna
those worst quarterbacks
hoping.
you can get.
So you're getting Kyler or Josh, so we'll go with
Kyler or
wheel
Josh.
of wow, and it's a
Wide
receiver.
receiver.
Hey,
At some point, it has to hit running back, but it's a good thing I already took one of them at least. All right, good. I'm gonna get Kyler, and then we'll see about wide receiver here.
now I can look at some of the weirder underdog drafts and be like, maybe they're doing the same thing. Maybe
Right. Maybe they're also having fun randomly.
like, they're either on the best drugs I've ever heard of, or they're doing this Wheel of Wow thing.
This is tough.
Or both.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Godwin.
yeah. There's no shame at all in doing both there.
It's tough.
Chris Godwin, that's a lovely best ball pick for a guy who doesn't really break out very often in one game.
Kyler, Aaron Jones, Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, and Dallas Goedert through 5 rounds.
Jesus.
Cringe.
I'm not thrilled about it. All right, but it is what it is.
Chills. That's not even my team.
And for Bo, coming up through 4 rounds, it's Dak, Justin Jefferson, Darren Waller, Noah Fant, and who will be the lucky player to join this lovely team?
Oh boy. Let's go. Man, that's tough.
Julio and Lockett went right before you. Lockett's another
I
ultimate
know.
best ball guy.
I was loving that Lockett being there, but now that he's gone, meet Deontay.
You're not worried about Ben Roethlisberger having no elbow?
No, because the reason his elbow hurts so much after last year is because he was chucking it to Deontay so much.
He was getting like 15 targets a game at one point. Like, he's
So,
the alpha.
But that's the thing with there's 3 good receivers in Pittsburgh, and I don't think any of the 3 are great receivers. They're all 3 are good.
Yeah.
And they each have 2 good things about them and 1 bad thing. Juju has got great hands and he's got the big body, but he doesn't get open. He's just a big blob
slot.
of great hands. Yeah.
Big
And
slot
then
boy.
and he also he has no yak ability. Claypool, he's got the size and the speed and the yak ability, but he's also not the best like crisp route runner. Deontay is one of the best route runners in the entire league. Great after the catch, but his hands are suspect. And so, I mean, I'll take the guy who's got a lot of upside. Claypool is another guy I would have liked, but a little bit later too.
Describing Juju as a big blob of hands, I think is probably the most accurate and greatest Juju description I've ever heard.
He's just, if you're looking at a wide receiver 2 in a redraft or dynasty because he's young, I don't see him getting much better than he is now. He's just that kind of player where he's just going to be that for a long time.
Right.
And I'm the kind of guy who doesn't hate the player, but I hate drafting guys that don't have much like farther to reach their pinnacle.
And so we'll be taking a
Man.
flex here.
Getting all the flexes out of the way early,
Oh, this is worrying me.
which
But
I don't like.
I do agree with that. And like Juju needs a situation where it's a consolidated target share with 2 players. Now that there's a third, it absolutely kills him. When it was just him and AB, it was great because he could just gobble it all up. But he's not good enough to command targets in a 3-wide set.
Well, and the only reason he's been so productive numbers-wise is sheer volume. Like,
exactly.
They're throwing the ball more than any other team, and it's such a low ADOT that you're just like, okay, he better have good hands because he's going to get 100 very short, low volatility targets, and he's going to get what he gets. He's going to average like 9 yards a catch, and you're just like, wow, he better just keep up that volume. And when you have 3 great guys that if they're all healthy, that volume's not going to be quite as high, and that's what he lives on.
It's the Jamison Crowder problem. When he's the only guy there, it's great, but when he's not, he's not.
I think Jamison Crowder is twice the receiver that Juju is.
Ooh,
Well, his route running's amazing too.
Yes, and that Juju does not run good routes.
Yeah,
he's very, very slow and sluggish through routes.
You know who's not?
As much as I hate to say it, because Jack knows my feelings. All right, Juju basically is Tyler Boyd, and it's the same. I mean,
Tyler Boyd's also much better at football than Juju.
He's in the slot. He gets a lot of volume out of the slot, but when there's other guys there that can get more yardage and do more for you, like even when he was the wide receiver 1, quote unquote, on the team, Tyler Boyd didn't have spectacular numbers. He was okay. And that's kind of the same deal with Juju. And then they went out and added Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson and kind of just washed all that away. And I think it's the same thing with Tyler Boyd. They added Higgins. Now they've added Chase. I think they should be basically in the same neighborhood.
Boyd has so many better physical traits, though, than Juju. Juju's just a big blob of hands. And
you know who's not a blob, though? Brandon
Ayuk. Right, yeah. Brandon Ayuk is another of those receivers that is always open. And he's an athletic freak that I love for best ball because even if he's competing for targets with Debo and Kittle, he's still going to make gigantic plays a lot of times. And his points per game last year really showed that with horrible quarterback play.
All right, I've got Myles Gaskin queued up here.
Ooh,
to go with Aaron Jones. He's my last running back that I'm okay with in this group of running backs here.
And of course, now we get the running back wide receiver in round 7 because
fantastic.
That's the time to take all the running backs.
Oh, this is perfect because I'm going to end up with Gaskin and then I'm going to get Sutton and I'll just get my guys back to back and I'm good with that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Fantastic. I can live with that.
I almost took Ayuk over Kenny Golladay. If my computer was a little bit faster, I actually would have. I tried to make that panic switch and didn't. So, a little envious of Bo right now, but I did get Travis Etienne on the back end. So,
yep, I saw that.
I was happy with that. I do love my boy Travis Etienne.
Sorry to say, but I'm completely off Etienne this season.
James Robinson fan?
No, I'm just.
I think it's just the price. I think that's my
price,
thing.
and I'm not sold on that opportunity as the slasher. He's not a polished receiver. That's why he got put in rookie camp to be a receiver. It was also in conjunction with Trevor Lawrence's shoulder recovery, so he wasn't going to do any handoffs anyway. Like, hey, what's Etienne's weakest spot? It's his natural receiving ability, and so I think he'll just be splitting carries with James Robinson, and I don't want either part of that. At their current prices, especially. Etienne's an explosive runner with the ball in his hands. I just don't see it for the draft capital that's expected to get him.
I get that, but Trevor Lawrence was his quarterback at Clemson, where he did have a 40 reception season on his resume, which is he's not the most natural route runner, but that willingness to check it down, to target Travis Etienne, that's what gets me excited. And I don't believe in James Robinson at all. I think he's just a guy like James Conner. That's not my prototype, so that's what has me in love with Travis Etienne.
Yeah, he's definitely got more talent than James Robinson. I'm really afraid of Urban Meyer's system It's
That-
unproven.
That is
Yeah.
the question.
like
Urban Meyer.
I said,
He's
the
got
biggest
an
thing for me, I
entire-
don't think it's talent. I think it's just the ADP for what you're paying.
He's got an entire Rolodex of great athletes on his team now, and we're actually scared of all of them because of Urban Meyer.
Yep.
Are we scared of Tim Tebow?
No.
We were talking about the great athletes.
The team chaplain, I think we're okay.
Rojo's a guy that I think should be going way earlier. He's the regular season option. We saw it all last season. Fournette was saved for the playoffs, and that was like I don't need playoff Lenny. I need the guy who's going to bust off the big runs like he did last year.
Yeah, that is the worry, and I take it this means you're not a Gio Bernard believer at all, because I am not, not in the slightest. So I will be taking Michael Gallup, and then on the way back, it will be a running back. So that's fun.
Finally,
That's fun.
there's what, like 3 more running back slots still in there, because the running backs have gotten to this point have all, I'm pretty sure, been like flex options.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. With the way I set it up, it kind of went.
Yeah, well, you
pretty
going
well.
0 RB is working out for you pretty well.
Yeah, and that's just pure dumb luck because I had no idea how the wheel of wow was going to fall my way.
That's how the wheel works. It works in mysterious ways.
And it makes you say, wow.
Exactly.
Wow, I get to take 2 tight ends at the very beginning.
You're gonna look at this roster and go, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have to take 2 tight ends. I get to.
Exactly. It's a privilege.
I have the opportunity. That's the thing. You got to reframe bad things as opportunities.
Yep. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents.
Exactly. Full Bob Ross. I don't know about this board right now. Jack took Michael Carter.
I love seeing Higbee go off the board, so I don't have to look at him anymore.
Mike Manning is up. He's going to go running back.
I completely agree on Tyler Higbee. I am not a fan. But those 3 games, though, 2 years ago, those 3 games.
The one game last year.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
You talked Mike Manning into James Robinson, apparently, because that's the way that he went.
Mr. Manning, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Anyway. All right. My guys are still here, so we're good.
You going to go Tony Pollard here?
Damn right I am.
I know that's your guy.
That is my guy.
Yeah, if anything happens to Zeke, Tony Pollard is the league-winning running back. I assume that's
that would be a bonus. But my prediction is he's going to have a Kareem Hunt style role this year in that run heavy attack that they're going to go right back into. They're gonna roll out Tony Pollard all over the field. He's going to be weaponized. He's too good of an athlete in space. He breaks too many tackles to not give him more touches this year, regardless of Zeke's health.
I think that's a very good case, and I think you're both right, and it's the best way for that offense to run, because Zeke has been not looking as efficient. He's been slowing down year after year. He is only 26, which is important to remember, but that's kind of that questionable age, so
especially with the miles he's put on.
Exactly.
I haven't seen as much of the deterioration in his game, except for when Dak went down and he was facing very loaded boxes with Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton at quarterback.
I have Zach Moss queued up here.
And then you will be taking a running back or a wide receiver.
Which will be a wide receiver since I have 3 running backs now.
And Dallas really thinks they are a playoff team. If you ask anyone in Texas, I'm sure Steve can vouch for this. It's their year. So,
well, it's always the Cowboys' year, and that's my team.
If you ask anybody around here, they're garbage. They're terrible, and Jerry Jones needs to sell the franchise.
But
until they win a game, and then they're the greatest franchise.
I just want him to relinquish the GM duties a little bit more.
Ugh.
Because as an owner of a franchise, there's nobody better at building value and worth in your franchise. I mean, they're the most valuable franchise in professional sports.
Right.
And he's done an amazing job at building that brand. What
Absolutely.
we haven't seen is the type of free agent moves to counteract with the drafts have been pretty good the last couple of years, but they haven't had the most depth of talent because we're overpaying free agents to keep them here, even if they're not if they don't have enough leverage. Like Zeke didn't have a ton of leverage as a running back to command $17 million a year, but what did we do?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
My only point with the
running
playoff
back or wide receiver, right?
Yes.
Yeah. My only point with the playoffs is it would make sense to conserve Zeke for X points down the stretch. Give Tony Pollard some run. So I think you're right with that, and I think you're right with AJ Dillon too, because yeah, we talked about it already.
I've never seen Aaron Jones cook a whole game.
He's going to step right into that Jamal Williams role.
If you look at the sheer overall numbers of Aaron Jones, he got plenty of volume, but he's the only quote unquote bell cow running back that was sitting out entire quarters of games just to spell him. Or like we're talking, like usually it's like with the Cowboys, it was 2 series would be Zeke, all Zeke, and then the third one would be Pollard, all Pollard. And he wouldn't come off the field for that series. And then 2 more of Zeke and then 1 more of Pollard. And with the Packers, it was like, okay, first quarter is Aaron Jones. Second and third quarters are Jamal Williams. And then the fourth quarter is Aaron Jones again. Like, where did he go for a half of the game? He was sitting there with his helmet by his side for no reason.
Right.
Give him the ball. Put him on the field.
Yeah. Or he'd be sitting out entirely, and then they'd randomly throw him in the red zone, and then he runs in a 15-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he's so good in the open field, and he knows how to find the end zone. We saw that with 19 touchdowns in 2019, and the regression was just inevitable there. Yeah. But it's just you hate to see that kind of talent just sitting there, getting cold on the sidelines.
And now we'll see, because they let Jamal Williams go, and they paid Aaron Jones to come back, which they never do. So
and they shouldn't have, really. That's another questionable decision, paying a running back when you have a quarterback who's not very happy with his selection of wide receivers after Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And so I'm not very happy with my selection at wide receiver with McCole Hardman, but I felt like I should stack with Patrick Mahomes. So I went out on a limb there, and then I'm taking with my running back pick, which you'll be following in round 10. I took Leonard Fournette because there's not a whole lot left here, and maybe playoff Uncle Len can have a couple games.
So we're doing running back this round? I must have missed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mike is up, and then you'll be up in a couple picks here.
David Johnson off the board, one of Steve's guys.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I just can't quit David Johnson. I just don't know how. He keeps burning me, and it just doesn't matter. I just keep going back.
I'm not going anywhere near that. I haven't rostered David Johnson since 2017. That was a good year to have.
Ugh. I envy you. So I've rostered him basically everywhere, every year. I just can't stop myself.
And rostering Darrell Henderson.
I also think Darrell Henderson's fantastic. I think Cam Akers is getting way too much love, and people seem to forget all about Darrell Henderson.
Cam Akers is an absolute stud, but if we look at just sheer numbers, look at Darrell Henderson's efficiency for the first 6 weeks when Akers was out with the rib injury. Darrell Henderson was the number 1 PFF rated running back in the NFL. Yep. He's good. He's explosive. Yep. He's fast. He makes big plays. And in best ball, even if Akers misses a quarter, even if he misses a quarter or a half of a game, you're going to see a lot of Darrell Henderson in the end zone. And I'm all about that.
Yep, he's going to get the work.
I
still think it's going to be a 60-40 split, even when they're both healthy.
Yeah, I don't see myself ever playing Darrell Henderson in a redraft and starting him. But in a best ball where you're not picking it, you get that 90-yard touchdown run, you're laughing. And so we're not laughing now with another running back drafted. But
all right, I've already got Aaron Jones, Myles Gaskin, and Zach Moss. It's not pretty over here.
That running back wide receiver pick that I went wide receiver with earlier is coming back to give me the thumbs up.
It's
now.
Paying off.
I don't like rostering more than 5 running backs in best ball. You get up to 6 or 7, and then you're just like you're working against yourself there.
All right, I know for sure I'm taking Latavius Murray with this first one because again, best ball. So if he ever gets the job, like
there's a game where he's gonna get 2 touchdowns. We know it. It's gonna happen at some point. It's Latavius Murray.
Format, you don't have to know when.
Yep. All right, I really hate it, but I'm gonna take Melvin Gordon.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's the 11th round.
It's the 11th round, though. I mean, he'll be the starter for 2 weeks, and then it's the Javonte show.
I still think they're gonna cut him.
Really? You think he's not even gonna make the team? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna say, you know what? Let's feature the kid. We got Mike Boone too.
Mike Boone to the moon.
Hey,
I love Mike Boone.
That's one guy I've never ever rostered was Alexander Madison. And every time he gets his chance, because Dalvin Cook is due to miss 1 or 2 games every year. He's not going to miss a ton of work, but it's usually right in the fantasy playoffs. And everybody's like, "Oh, Alexander Madison's going to step right in. He's good, right?" And I'm like, no. Every time he gets a chance, he does literally nothing. And Mike Boone gets his chance, and he blows up. So I'm all about Mike Boone as a better option as a flex running back. But it's just crazy how people just say, "Oh, he's the next one in line. He's going to be good, just as good as a starter." That's the mindset that got Dearness Johnson a lot of fab dollars last year.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy who runs a 4.9 can replace Kareem Hunt. Yeah, that's going to happen. Naheem Hines can replace.
That 4.9 was wind aided too by the looks of it.
Naheem Hines could replace Kareem Hunt pretty easily. That they play the same role, except Naheem Hines going round 11 versus round 5 for Kareem Hunt. I like the pick there.
And wasn't Naheem Hines like PPR running back 17 last season? He was
something like that. He had a fantastic year.
He had some big games too, as well. So
and he has his own defined role in that offense, independent of JT.
Yeah, and we had this discussion too when we were doing our projections in the spring. But it's like Marlon Mack is back, and they re-signed him, and he's theoretically healthy. So what the hell is he doing? Like what is that? What is that role going to look like? Because it's JT's job between the tackles, but Hines is still going to catch the balls.
I mean, I hate to say that it was just like a feel good, hey, you're part of this family in Indy, but your playing career as a starter or as a role player is pretty much over. I think that's what the Colts did. The Colts, Irsay is, for all of his warts as a person, he loves his employees, his players, his coaches, and he builds that personal bond with them. And I think that was more of an olive branch signing than anything.
Well, to me, I think it's more on like they have that defense is fantastic. It's just, do you believe in Carson Wentz? And they clearly do. So they think they're a playoff caliber team, and Marlon Mack is more of like an insurance policy to them than actually having a role on the team. Like if something happened to JT, I think Marlon Mack all of a sudden becomes the starting running back again. But I don't know. I think you're putting a lot of eggs in that basket if you're counting on Marlon Mack to carry you across the finish line.
Yeah, that's especially in a position that requires jumping and cutting and accelerating and decelerating. The Achilles is always under a lot of stress. And
it's the 11th round. You already went Ty Johnson.
I had to take a running back, and now I don't want to take another one. So
out of control.
Oh no, I have to take another one. Oh, that's not good. I don't like that. 6 RBs, but
a running theme of this show, Bo, is Jack's unwavered love for Ty Johnson as the starting running back of the New York Jets.
Tevin Coleman's going to start week 1. Michael Carter's going to get a lot of touches, but Ty Johnson's going to get starts. He's going to get between the tackles carries. It's going to happen.
Out of all those guys, I like Ty Johnson second best behind Carter. I'm not really overly impressed with Carter either. I don't think Tevin Coleman's anything. He's just there to teach the guys how to run that offense because he's been a system for his whole career.
He's starting week 1 because of that feel good. He knows the role. He's going to get the first handoff week 1, and that's it.
Wide receiver, right?
Yes, sir.
Wide receiver. All right. Let's go. Arizona.
Damn. I love me some Rondale Moore. He's my guy this year.
Yeah, you put a physical freak like that in a fast-paced offense with a good quarterback, you're going to see some big numbers. Maybe not all the time, but Rondale Moore is going to have 4 to 5 really big games, and people are going to get really excited about that.
Yeah, I was saying that in our chat too. Like, I was hoping he would come back to me to pair with Kyler because, man, he's exactly what Kingsbury wants to do in that offense. Just like keep it short, fast-paced. Let him just get the ball and run.
That little guy can scoot too.
Right.
And he's got quads that are just like the size of my
5'7". His vertical leap's 44 inches. He runs a 4.3, and he squats 700 pounds. That's insanity.
All right. I will hate every minute of it and hope for the second-year breakout from Rager. What do we got coming up in the 13th here?
And
Rager's really good at running wind sprints.
Another wide receiver. Okay, perfect. So I will take Rager then to finish the 12th, and I will take the guy you sniped from me, and I will take Terrace Marshall, the new Curtis Samuel.
That would have been my next one too.
And with Rager, the hope is the move to the slot does him well because he is explosive. So even though he's not a good route runner, he can take those short little passes and maybe house them. But that's what
I'm not sure I believe the coach speak there because that role that slot role that Keenan Allen was in the Steichen offense is going to end up being Devontae Smith. He's going to run a speed slot role they want that polished route runner. And so I really do think that eventually that Z receiver that was Mike Williams in LA and then ended up being Jalen Guyton, where basically the guy just runs wind sprints, and if there's a blown coverage, you get your big play. That's going to be perfect for Jalen Rager because he's very fast, he's explosive, he doesn't run side to side very well. He's just a really athletic guy, straight line speed. And so it's going to come down to what they see is going to work best in that offense. And I mean, they designed the team around that idea of the LA Chargers offense last year. And I don't see that slot, the Keenan Allen role, going anywhere near Jalen Rager.
That is a very good point. I hadn't even done that little brain experiment. I quite like that.
And that's also why I think my exposure to Kenny Gainwell. I mean, don't snipe me on Kenny Gainwell later, but Kenny Gainwell is about 60% exposed in my best ball lineup because he was drafted as that Eckler player.
Yeah.
And Miles Sanders is going to be a very far upgraded version of Joshua Kelly was last year in the Chargers offense. But the Eagles are going to run that same system, thunder and lightning. They're going to have a lot of designed pass plays for the tailback. Sanders will get plenty of that too, but Gainwell was specifically picked out for that role.
And it's not even just Steichen too. It's head coach Nick Sirianni. Where did he come from? Indianapolis, who had Nyheim Hines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gainwell is another one of our guys too. We were big on him in the draft. I had him rated ahead of Williams in the pre-draft, and then he fell to the 4th round, which hurt him, but he's still way up there for me. And I think, and people are even overlooking the fact that look at what Boston Scott has done in Philadelphia the last couple of years. And now you've got Gainwell basically taking over that number 2 role.
Instantly made Boston Scott a cut candidate.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I will be taking Bryan Edwards because I think he has a good chance to have more targets than Henry Ruggs and another.
More targets, yes, but limitations. I think they're that offense is still really, really predictable. It's so vanilla. You know exactly what they're going to run just based on how they line up because Gruden has never changed anything. It's still Spider 2 Y Banana. It's still all the same stuff. All you have to do is pop in the 2002 Super Bowl, and you know exactly what John Gruden's going to run.
Not wrong.
No, you're not. But hey, you know what? He could have his boom weeks, though, getting enough targets. It could happen with Bryan Edwards. I do like him.
That's the beauty of best
My
ball.
pick before was John Brown. Smokey's he's a more polished. If he's healthy, you got to watch out for that guy in that offense. He can play at any of those wide receiver positions and do work against pretty bad defenses overall in that division.
And I think we're all overlooking the fact that for the first time in his career, John Brown isn't being stalked by Sammy Watkins. I mean, he can finally breathe easy. Like, leave me alone.
Well, he stalks him for the first week of the season, then he just disappears.
Exactly. Right. Sammy Watkins still on the board. I mean, he's got a guaranteed 50 in week 1. So he'll put up like 75 points for the year.
Off the board to Mike Manning.
Right as you said.
There you go, Mike. You got it. You got it, buddy. Guaranteed 50 in week 1, 75 points for the season.
Yep.
Was reading today on the Baltimore Ravens website that it's pretty much a lock that Sammy Watkins, Hollywood, Devin Duvernay, Rashad Bateman, and Tylan Wallace make the roster. So that's 5. Miles Boykin versus James Proche is the wide receiver 6. Yeah, wide receiver.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be funny if Miles Boykin was cut? Because
You're still on that Miles Boykin should be a tight end bandwagon.
I am. Yep.
Well, look at the size of the guy. I mean,
he is massive, athletic, and not good at running routes. So,
yeah, I think the challenge there is tight end is in that offense is really important. And so,
yeah,
if John Harbaugh doesn't think that you can do everything, then you're going to be out of there.
Hayden Hurst.
Well, I mean, Hayden Hurst was good, but they had such a crowded room, and Boyle was a better blocker. Andrews was a better route runner, so he was kind of stuck in the middle, even as a first-round pick. They're like, hey, we don't really need you exactly here. Even though you're good at both, you're not great at either.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just how it works in Baltimore is they are not – they're loyal to their players, but they are not afraid to bench them. They'll treat them properly, but, hey, if you're not – if they cut Earl Thomas because he wasn't a culture fit, and they took a massive hit on that. Think they're afraid to bench or cut Miles Boykin?
Nope. Especially not with what they just did in the draft.
Oh, I love the Rashad Bateman pick.
All right. I am up, and I will take the wide receiver 1 in New England, Jacoby Myers.
Ooh.
So what do we got? Another wide receiver back-to-back.
Yeah.
Ugh. Put me in a tough spot here.
This QB2 is
This is our last wide receiver, right? What do we have left on the board now?
Running back and quarterback.
Quarterback. Did you miss a wide receiver in there? I feel like you didn't reset the board after you did your example. Because we have 3 rounds left. There's only 2 people, right? Or no, wait. No, I'm making a pick now at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm horribly wrong. I'll take upside. I'll take Kadarius Toney.
Okay. That's the only format I'll even think about Kadarius Toney is like, I just want his 2 good weeks.
Exactly. I took him in the fishbowl because I got him at, like the 20th round or something?
Yeah, that's ridiculous value.
Where did I get Kadarius Toney in that? I got it over here somewhere. Yeah, I got him at the 20th round pick too. So whatever. I'll take a first round pick.
First round pick, whether or not it was a reach.
I hate Kadarius Toney, but I'll take him in the 20th round. Why not?
I mean, you at least have to believe that the Giants at least had some idea of what they wanted him to be if they went that far to get him.
Sure.
And so even if his role is just like that weird, like ninja star, like you're just like, hey, you're good at carrying the ball and doing stuff. Here's the ball, do stuff. Yeah. And that's a good thing for Daniel Jones because if you leave him to his own decisions, you're going to lose a lot of games.
Tutu Atwell is another one of those where it's like, I don't want it. I don't think he's an NFL wide receiver, but if you're going to give him to me for free, why not?
More wide receiver on this one?
So this is wide receiver right here.
Okay.
And then what do we have left? Running back and quarterback?
Yeah, and then I believe you were right. I think we did miss one.
Yeah, so that would be 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I think what we're missing is wide receiver. So if you go back to your wheel of WoW and just re-click a wide receiver, you should be fine.
Oh, good call.
There you go.
That wheel of WoW is so versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Just so fancy. Thank you to our friends over at
Pickerwheel.
Pickerwheel.com.
That's right.
Shout out Pickerwheel.
Shout out Picker Wheel. Shout out Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code nonsense. Shout out to all of the websites that Bo works for.
Too many to list.
That would be another show, just listing them
Right,
off.
yeah, just listing off all of them. Shout out to Scott. Scott's been on with us before last year. And what else? BallBlast. We're going to work with them later this year. So we're excited to do that.
Shout out to the hot box. Is it the hot box?
At HotBoxBatch. I know that on Twitter.
Yeah. And Twitter is at HotBoxBatch, and that's bigtimeflavor.co is the website where HotBox is the featured item. There's the hot sauce, and then there's 4 different seasoning blends, and you can get all 5 products in a bundle for 10% off the price of all 5 individually.
And Steve can recommend.
Highly recommend. I put it on everything. I put it on Euros, and it was fantastic.
Ooh, so when you told me that, I was like, that sounds so freaking good.
And I told you I put the Nashville hot seasoning into my chicken ramen.
Oh,
and it was
that was like
it was just Nashville hot soup is all it was. It was fantastic.
Well, I was thinking about that. There's like you guys that buy and try my products are way more creative than me. I'm narrow-minded towards like, oh, this is for fried chicken, Nashville style. Like all the places that are popping up on every corner. It's like, oh, Nashville hot chicken. It's the fancy red fried chicken. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a seasoning so you can make that at home. And then you got Steve here who's putting it on everything except for fried chicken. I'm like, that's actually really clever. That's
boring. Just put it on fried chicken. Come on, everybody's going to do that. Who wants to do that?
Everybody. But yeah, you've come up with some creative options. And then my brother-in-law, he mixed the HotBox hot sauce with sour cream and used it as a condiment for his schnitzel sandwich.
That's a good idea.
That sounds amazing too.
I'm gonna need to have a second dinner tonight.
Jack's over there adjusting his pants there.
Yeah, exactly. There is
16th round quarterback. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. The best time to take QB2.
Well, when we took QB1 in round 4, this isn't a terrible time to be taking QB2.
Nobody in bye week 7. I can't do bye week 7. That's my only rule here.
All right, so no Roethlisberger. I know you're heartbroken.
Well, the guys, because I draft Dak so often that I kind of know that it's Ben, it's Trevor Lawrence, it's Herbert, and so I usually never draft both Herbert and Dak. That would just be they're crazy back-to-back rounds. That wouldn't make any sense.
I did that once around the time they announced the schedule, so it hadn't mentally registered yet, and it was devastating. Because you think about it, you'd be set. It'd be perfect.
Mm.
But yeah, I unfortunately didn't have the bandwidth to stack anybody with these random options that we get. So I'm not too optimistic about my potential in this particular league.
I managed to pull off the stack of Jared Goff and Tyrell Williams and TJ Hawkinson, so a little double stack there, and then
that's gonna be such a high-powered offense too in Detroit.
Goff throwing for 7,000,
chasing a lot of points, that's for sure.
Yeah, Goff is gonna throw for a career high 22 touchdowns this year, and you're gonna be stoked.
Look, if I wasn't a coward, I would do what I normally do in this round and take Deshaun Watson. But I'm a coward because this is my only QB to back up Kyler Murray, and I'm gonna go Derek Carr, which is the safest pick I can make here. Take the complete coward's way out. And
I thought about Carr to get the John Brown stack, but then I was like, and Waller. But
what am I taking here, Jack?
You are taking a running back here.
Running back.
Stacking for the sake of stacking is the wrong thing to do, even if it's best ball. It's like I like Waller's upside, I like John Brown's upside, but I don't think Carr's is necessarily going to translate and carry over there.
I'd say I hate to do it to you, Bo, but I don't. I love it. I had to do it.
I'm okay with that. You did. That's a great pick for 17th round.
17th round. That was an easy one.
Yeah, I mean, then it's our first running back in a few rounds.
Yeah.
Obviously, he would have been my choice if I had been if I had an earlier 17th round pick, but I've been picking him in the 13th and 14th.
Because of the random like early flex and running back wide receiver options, I have more running backs than I'm comfortable with here, but it's all right.
Yeah,
I think going full 0 RB, I think is going to pay off for you, Bo.
Well, let's hope, because I'm going to end up with 6 running backs.
I think
I don't love that either.
I have 6 myself right now.
I will also end up with 6, and it makes me feel kind of icky.
It's not too far off from what I usually do, which is the 2-5-8-2. So 2-6-7-2 is, or 2-6-8-2. It's all right. It's not ideal though.
But I think we can all agree that having 2 tight ends is more than enough, especially when we started with the first 2.
I could probably use another one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
If only you could go back.
This is my first share of Damian Williams in best ball this year.
Should be interesting.
Should have been the Super Bowl MVP.
He was robbed. Absolutely robbed.
Mahomes led the comeback. Okay, yeah. Well, he wouldn't have had a chance if it wasn't for Damian shredding the Niners' #1 defense.
I put that out there in, I don't know, I wrote it. It was an article or a tweet or something I did. But it was like, it's something like there's only 6 running backs or something that have gone over 100 yards in a Super Bowl and had at least 2 touchdowns. And only 2 of them didn't have the MVP, and Damian Williams is one of them.
Yep. And then he had a whole year off, which for running backs, I love.
Yep.
A guy coming with fresh legs.
Yep.
Especially at his age. I think he's 27 now.
Yeah.
We're looking at a guy with fresh legs, maybe carry another 2 or 3 years out of his career.
Well, and he struggled a little bit with injury too at the beginning of his career, which is kind of why he bounced around.
He's got lots of talent, though.
Yep.
And so with my 6th running back, I will be taking Ramondre Stevenson because he could get those goal line carries and it's best ball, and that's
he
it.
Won't. I got a 6'5", 250-pound tailback for that. That's his name's Cam Newton.
Until he's benched for Mac Jones, which
and then they still bring Cam Newton on the goal line.
Look at Jacoby Brissett. Phillip Rivers last year. It's the same.
I'm not going to draft Malcolm Brown. Marlon Mack, Samaje P. Ryan. I'm not going to do that.
Ramondre is going to be he's another 4.9 guy, like really slow.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any lateral agility to speak of. His ball security is a question mark. His vision is a question mark. And the fact that the Patriots spent any draft capital on him at all is shocking to me, because they don't like to feature anybody at running back.
Well, look, Ramondre Stevenson.
I'm down on Damian Harris for that same reason. I don't know.
Ramondre Stevenson's greatest contribution to the NFL will be he is the reason the Patriots finally cut Sony Michel. And then that we can all celebrate that dream is finally dead, and I don't have to hear about how great Sony Michel is anymore.
No, I completely agree. I am not a Ramondre Stevenson fan. Wasn't in the draft. The only reason I'm taking him is because he's RB6 and Ty Johnson's off the board. So.
Yep. And who knows? You might get to score him a couple weeks or 1 week or
He could very well have a Matt Breida game. That's all I'm saying. 3 touchdowns.
You hope he has a Jonas Gray game.
I don't think he's that good. Jonas Gray was a little bit better than Ramondre.
Jonas Gray scored 4 touchdowns and got cut the same week.
Will he have a J.J. Taylor game? That's the question, I think, when you're talking about New England backfield.
Yeah, I don't know.
One random week where he pops off and suddenly is the big waiver ad that we're all talking about.
All right, wide receiver to finish it up, huh?
Yep.
Get my guy. It was my last pick of Scott Fishbowl. It's my last pick here. Traquan Smith is good, but he's not great in anything. Yep. Marquez Callaway is a really raw receiver.
Yep.
But assuming Jameis Winston gets most of the snaps at quarterback and they keep Taysom for that weaponized role, I still see Marquez Callaway having some big weeks because he's the only deep threat really on the entire team. He's the only guy that can run fast. Everybody else is just like Traquan Smith. I'm gonna run and then turn around and catch the ball. Michael Thomas is going to run slants. Kamara's going to run his wheel routes and out routes and angle routes, and he's amazing. But Marquez Callaway is going to run the nines and the posts and all the deep, difficult routes for wide receivers, and he's going to make some big plays.
He's probably the best actual like wide receiver they have on the team right now.
Yes. Traquan's just been a disappointment, and everybody thought he would be something better than he was immediately, and he still isn't that after 2 or 3 years.
It's kind of his make or break season. I like you said, he's good, not great. I'm not completely out on him, but I don't ever see him being a true wide receiver too. Marquez Callaway, if he refines his game a little bit, absolutely could be a true wide receiver 2 in fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike anyone Steve's
why
had
not?
to take here.
2580 projection. Oh, my God.
Went with Alan Lazard. Why not?
This might be my lowest projected total out of I think, 40, 50 drafts that I've done on Underdog. 2580 might be the lowest one I've ever seen.
You're welcome. Glad we can make some history for you.
Still more than Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one hurts real good. So, like, the quarterbacks,
How
Jared
did I get Jared Goff?
Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes. This is the first time I've drafted Jared Goff. This is the first time I've drafted Ramondre Stevenson. I don't feel great, but I feel good enough. Like Chris Carson,
Underdog does not like your team or mine.
No, not one bit.
Travis Etienne, Chris Carson, Michael Carter, Uncle Len, and Ty Johnson. They're pretty solid running backs. I don't completely hate it. But I would be happier if I didn't have to draft T.J. Hawkinson in round 1. That didn't make me feel good inside. And the round 2 Kyle Pitts did not make me feel good either, which kind of resulted in this hodgepodge at wide receiver with Michael Gallup, wide receiver 2, which I like Michael Gallup a lot, especially in best ball, but not my wide receiver 2. Kenny Golladay. Yeah, Nicole Hardman's a wide receiver 4. Gabriel Davis is a wide receiver 3 at best. Brian Edwards.
I think Underdog gave you a few extra points just to make you feel better about
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a pity rating. I think of all the ones, this is probably the worst one you've had for sure.
Yeah, this is my most disappointed that I have been on Jack Knows Best. We might be seeing Bo knowing better. Break it down, Bo.
Yeah, I mean, starting with 2 tight ends is always tough. I mean, it's not something you wish on your worst enemy unless
you're
competing against them in the same tournament. And hey, just knowing that you guys had to do the exact same thing makes me feel so much better about what I ended up getting. Because starting with Waller and Fant,
Noah Fant?
Actually, I mean, it's not a terrible pick because Fant is going to have a good number of really big weeks. Like he has his whole career when he's been on the field, he puts up big numbers, whether it's Drew Lock or anybody else at quarterback. You can throw a warm body at quarterback, and Noah Fant's going to be open, and he's a really explosive athlete. And that's kind of what I want is that yak ability that Darren Waller has, that Kyle Pitts has. That Noah Fant is one of those guys where you could get a low ADOT and he's still going to have the chance to break a big play. Then going kind of a zero running back for a while when I got Jefferson, great best ball wide receiver, great overall wide receiver. You can't expect too much regression from the guy because he's so good. Deontay, volume plus big playability. He's the only guy that Ben seems to see for quarters at a time. So it's fine for me to have him as a wide receiver too. Is better than I could have expected after going 2 tight ends. And then Ayuk is just, I mean, for a wide receiver 3 to have Ayuk there, that's studly because I would have been happy with him as my wide receiver 2.
And then just so much explosiveness for the rest of your draft.
I love how your wide receivers panned out, and then going with the 0 RB, I think you hit it perfect. Like you have Ronald Jones, who's nothing but upside, and if he doesn't make the number 1 job because he loses out to Fournette or whatever, it doesn't matter because it's best ball. Pollard, same thing. He'll have an established role. If he gets more than just his established role and takes over as the number 1 guy, massive. A.J. Dillon, same thing. He'll have that role that Jamal Williams had last year. Darrell Henderson is another one. Naheem Hines, pass catcher.
Really,
I love what you were able to do.
All of these guys have established amounts of touches they're going to get every game.
Yep.
But they're all primed to jump right in and
Yep.
elevate their play and their points per game with more opportunity.
Yeah.
And
none of them should get you a 0. Is the
I
big
only
thing.
need 2 of those guys really to do that and break out.
Yeah.
And 2 out of 6 of the guys that I'm looking at, I like my odds there.
Yeah.
And then Dak and Zach.
The Dak and Zach connection. I like it. Yeah.
The Dak and Zach attack at quarterback. I just need Zach to put it together for week 7 because I think Dak is going to go absolutely bonkers this season with probably close to 50 combined touchdowns and over 5,000 yards passing. So if Zach could put together a nice 15, 20 points in week 7 when Dak is resting his ankle,
Right.
we're going to be sitting really pretty with this. I mean, I think Underdog is kind of sandbagging me a little bit because all I see is untapped potential here.
Well, it's like you said too, like when you look at guys like Alexander Madison or even a guy, well, I guess Murray's a little different, but Madison, the guys that are just pure handcuffs, where if they're not getting the starting role because of an injury, they're getting you a 0.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got Pollard,
guys,
Jones, Dillon, you have guys that have a role that'll give you something. And then if they get a bigger role, it's even better for you here. So,
and I know my flex and wide receiver positions are going to be solid as a rock.
Yep.
So I just need 2 running backs to do something every week and I'll be fine.
Yep.
Well, and you never know. Noah Fant could end up as your flex while Darren Waller is your tight end. That's very well possible. That's what happens with hero tight end.
I'll allow it.
Hero tight end.
Yeah,
is that the strategy we went with? Hero tight end?
Hashtag that sucker.
That's
hero tight end.
That's what Josh Larkey calls it, except usually it's like, TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant in rounds like 5, 6, and 8 or something like that.
Or in Scott Fishbowl, like some of the guys, like one guy in our division went, I think he went Waller Kittle at the turn, the 1-2 turn. At 11 and I think 111 202 went Waller Kittle, something like that, and that was the main driving force between that and I know with the 3rd round reversal that Sam Wagman was going to take Pitts at 3-1 before I got a chance to take him at 3-10. There was no way I was letting Sam Wagman get Pitts when I just finished a gigantic article on Kyle Pitts and why he's going to explode into the top 3 tight ends as a rookie.
Yeah, Ryan Williams from FanDuel, he was the one that went Waller, Kittle back to back. Kind of crushed my dreams of Kittle falling back down to us back there.
When that happened, I got to 210 and I was like, this is instant Pitts.
You were done at that point.
I was fed up.
Well, I mean, I don't hate my team here. I've got Kyler Murray, which I love, obviously, and then Derek Carr for the 1 week bye week fill in. I've got Aaron Jones, the ultimate best ball running back. I've got Gaskin, who I think is underrated, has a solid floor, and then Zach Moss, the starting running back in Buffalo. I mean, we all know that. Latavius Murray, I only get the booms. I don't have to worry about the busts. Same thing with Melvin Gordon for the 2 weeks he's starter. And then Kenny Gainwell when he eventually just takes over that whole job in Philadelphia over Miles Sanders.
And when you did take Gainwell on the 17th, I pretended like I wasn't really upset about it. But the more I think about it, it looks terrible when he's not on my team. I'm really upset about it.
You're just outraged and hate it. All right, good. I'm glad. That makes me feel even better about my draft. That's fantastic.
We're gonna end the stream and Bo's gonna have blocked Steve.
Well, I got Godwin, which is all right. It's my first share of Chris Godwin, so that's okay. But I love Cortland Sutton. He's my guy. Brandon Cooks is another one that I can't seem to quit. He's the number 1 guy on that roster, whatever that's going to be. So we'll see. And then Rager, I'm hoping, breaks out. Jacoby Myers, another one. He's the number 1, whatever that means. Tony, Lazard, and Marshall, their dart throws. I like Marshall ahead of any of the other ones, but we'll see if
I like Marshall as your wide receiver 3, to be honest.
Probably. on a consistent weekly basis, 100%. I think he would be the guy that's going to slot in there for sure. And I saw
the graphic earlier today where they were like, oh yeah, Cook's 1,000 yards in 5 of his 7 pro seasons. He's still only 27.
Yeah.
But here are the quarterbacks he's had throughout his career. We had the one amazing year of Jared Goff. We had Drew Brees. We had
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Just a lineup of Hall of Famers, and then one great season by Goff when he actually showed that he was worth
and Deshaun last year.
Yeah,
and then
Deshaun Watson playing superhero ball last year.
Yep.
And then you got to think that Deshaun's not likely to play this year. If he plays at all, it's going to be maybe 6 to 8 games.
Someone else or something. It's not going to be for Houston.
He's going to have that same supporting cast minus Will Fuller, and it's ugly. We're talking the ugliest of the ugly. A terrible roster around him. No defense to speak of.
Nothing.
And I just don't like Cooks because Cooks is going to get looks, but they're not going to be quality.
Yeah,
we might.
You don't think Jeff Driscoll is going to deliver an accurate ball?
I think it'll be Tyrod for a while, but then when they figure out that Tyrod isn't accurate and never has been, they're going to see, we don't want Brandon Cooks to have a target value percentage like Jerry Jeudy had last year, where he got 110 targets but only had 48 catches. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be what they want for Brandon Cooks, because that's what they're in store for if Tyrod starts. So Davis Mills, I mean, he's accurate, but he's not mobile at all, and he's a rookie. And a rookie that is used to Pac-12 defenses. I know from firsthand experience as an Oregon fan, he's not going to be quite ready for the speed of the NFL defense.
Yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to have like 7 or 8 games of Tyrod Taylor, and then they're going to be 0-8, and they'll say, all right, well, we got to see what we have in Mills because we're about to have the first pick in the draft. So
again,
is he the guy, or are we picking somebody next year?
Yeah, Bill O'Brien completely sabotaged that franchise, and then Cal McNair.
Bob drove it into the ground.
Yeah, Bob drove it into the ground, and McNair decided that was fine because he's still a billionaire. What does
he care? He doesn't care.
And then Deshaun, of course, has got his own issues to worry about. But everybody still forgets, because of all the legal trouble that Deshaun's in, is that dude wanted out before that.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the two are related. I think he wanted out. Then all that stuff kind of came to a head where he's like, well, maybe we'll talk about trades later when all this works itself out. He's still not going to want to play for the Texans, even if he is cleared to play by the commissioner.
Who would? No. Other than David Johnson, who no one else will take, except me.
And Mark Ingram, who no one else will take.
Mark Ingram will be the running back coach before the season starts. That'll be fine.
Boy.
It's okay. I like Terrace Marshall. Jacoby is underrated, but I'm scared for that. I'm scared for that New England passing game again.
I'm all right with my top 2. I think Marshall's got the most upside of the guys in the bottom half, and then we'll see if any of these other guys can help me on a weekly basis. But I mean, like everybody else here, I'm going to be solid at tight end, and I think I'm pretty good at quarterback. So can that carry me enough through this? We'll see.
And I think that's going to do it from us here tonight on Jack Knows Best. And unfortunately,
well, thanks, Bo.
It kind of looks like Bo knows better. So thank you, Bo, for joining me and embarrassing me.
I like Bo's team. I like my team. I think you've got great upside with your running back. The only team I don't like is Jack's, and I love when we can end a stream like that. That's fantastic. Yeah. If we can put
Jack,
it, then
it builds character. That's why I've been told it builds character.
Well,
I don't know from personal experience. I don't know from personal experience, but I've been told that this kind of experience builds character.
Others that have lost have told me that that's what happens, but I'm not
builds
sure.
Character, puts hair on your chest, just like the hot sauce at BigTimeFlavor.co.
That's
right?
Damn
that's
right.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. You can follow Bo at Bo_McBigTime. You can follow Steve at Nonsense_Steve. You can follow Important Nonsense at NonsenseFF. And you can follow me at Javanaugh87. And if you think you know better than Jack, because I'm going to be coming back strong next week, you better believe that, you can sign up on Underdog and use promo code NONSENSE so that I can beat you next week.
Now, this is the big thing. Do you remember who our guest is next week?
I think so.
Okay.
Frantically scrolling.
Next week, we will be joined by Matt Harmon from Perception Reception. And
See, I
Yahoo
was
Fantasy.
right. I'm glad
So,
I didn't guess.
I'm glad. All right, yeah, because last week you were kind of jumbled and you weren't sure, but
yeah.
all right, as long as you
Don't
remember.
let Matt Harmon get early wide receivers because then you're going to get smoked.
That's right. Just take all the wide receivers off the wheel. Just make him draft nothing but tight ends and running backs.
You should wait, like add wide receiver after the 4th round and see what he does.
Put in a special caveat just for him.
The Wheel of Wow for Matt Harmon only.
I like it. Thanks, bro. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right. And we will see you all next week.